Okay, so if you're watching this video, obviously you are either moving to Dallas, Texas, or thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas, and you want to know what it's really like. So stick around and catch a few of the things we've noticed as we've lived in Dallas for quite a while now, and just wanted to share with you the pros and the cons. And one of the things about the weather that completely blew me away, maybe pun intended. Okay, so there's definitely some stereotypes that a lot of people have, or maybe misnomers is a better way to say that, about moving to Dallas, Texas. So I'm gonna be honest and tell you that I actually relocated here myself. My family was from California, and then we moved all the way across the country to Georgia. And then as an adult, my husband and I and our family moved from the Atlanta, Georgia area halfway across the country to Dallas. And so I was honestly expecting like big hair, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, belt buckles, and tumbleweeds like all over the place. Like that's just what I thought that Dallas was like even today. So those of you that have even visited know that that's really not what it's like at all. There are parts of Texas that might still be like that, and there might be some people in Dallas who kind of, cling to that kind of cowboy vibe. But in reality, Texas nowadays is pretty metropolitan. So here's a couple things about moving to North Dallas that you might want to know, and just make sure it's a good fit for you. So the first thing is that Dallas is actually called, people call it the DFW area, but in reality, DFW is they call it the DFW Metroplex. That's a huge spread of land. And so really, when people talk about it, there's really Fort Worth, and then there's Dallas, and they're about an hour or so apart depending upon the traffic. So truthfully, what you want to do is you want to see whether Fort Worth, which is maybe a little bit more, the Fort Worth stockyards are there and things like that. So you can kind of do your research on Fort Worth. And then there's Dallas, and Dallas is a little bit more, again, metropolitan. So you can kind of see which one, as you guys do your research, is a better fit for you and your family or your job needs or anything like that. So today we're gonna just talk about Dallas. So Dallas itself is about 343 square miles. So it's actually a really large city, and that can be a plus, and then that can be a minus, and we'll talk about that in a second. So it's a booming city. It's very full of culture and activities. Lots of restaurants, lots of sports are here, and we'll get into the specifics of those in a minute. And obviously there's lots of revival in some of the downtown areas, and it's just a really happening place. So DFW itself has gained more new residents than any metro area in the country. So it trails in population Chicago, LA, and New York. But as far as just people coming here, we win. So that's pretty cool. So there's a lot of people transitioning in, a lot of people moving here. And so it's kind of a great place if that's what you're going to be doing. You won't be alone. So one of the things that's kind of just something that you kind of have to get used to is the traffic in Dallas. So again, if you're moving from a place that already has a lot of traffic and you are kind of just used to dealing with that, it's not going to be a problem for you. But if you're moving from somewhere where traffic is not really an issue, just be aware that, especially going, during rush hour and you're going in and out of the city, there is a lot of traffic. I personally don't think that it's as bad as it was in California, and honestly, even in some places of Atlanta, because I feel like Dallas has done a good job with its infrastructure of giving lots of different routes to places. There's toll roads and there's access roads, and there's more than one way to get to places, and so it doesn't seem quite as locked up maybe as some other cities. But just know that traffic is a problem, or is just something, again, that you just plan for. So you just want to find out, as you're looking at a very specific area, maybe a certain suburb, or if you're going to be in downtown Dallas, find out what the actual commute is from someone who's driving, not just the mileage. And then just, maybe what I like to do when I know I'm going to be in the car is download some good podcasts, or, just make a fun playlist, maybe, get an audiobook. And so there's ways that you can really use that time to your benefit. And then again, just build that into your morning routine or your evening routine, accounting for traffic as you're going places. Okay, so another thing, number two thing that is kind of helpful and a little bit different in Dallas are the taxes. So one of the reasons that a lot of people are coming here is because a lot of businesses are headquartered here or are moving their headquarters here, or just like to have a presence here. And we have another video that you're welcome to check out. After you subscribe to our channel, you'll be in the know and alerted every time we have a new video each week. And so one of them talks about how strong the Dallas job market is. And so feel free to check that one out and get a little bit more detail about the major employers and things like that. But just know that one of the draws to the state of Texas is the way that our taxes work. So there's no corporate income tax and there's no personal income tax. And so a lot of people are attracted to that. But just one thing to keep in mind is that there still is a sales tax. So obviously every time you purchase something, whether you live in the state of Texas or not, if you're just passing through, you are charged a sales tax. And then there is also property taxes. And so as you're looking at your specific suburb or your specific area, just, account for that in your budget. Check out what the local property taxes are, because to some people they seem very reasonable, again, depending upon where you're coming from. And to other people, they might seem kind of high. And so you just really have to remember, like, okay, if the property tax is this, but I'm not paying an income tax, how does that kind of work out with our budget? How does that kind of work out with our overall income? And just make sure that it works for what you need. So back to the job market. The job market in Dallas is actually one of the fastest growing, it is the fastest growing job market in the country. And again, you can check out our video that talks more about that, but it's just a reason why there's just such an influx of people here. And so again, that's something that is fun about it. You get to kind of meet a lot of people. There's a lot of people too who are like clinging to their native Texan roots, and you'll just kind of find a lot of diversity from people who are from here and people who are not from here, because the job market attracts so many people. So another reason that a lot of people are moving to Dallas are the schools. So in Dallas, we are known for having an excellent school system. So when we talk about Dallas, we're kind of talking about that large, even up all through the Dallas suburbs. And so there's private schools, there's charter schools, there's public schools, and there's kind of everything in between. And so the nice thing is you have a lot of choice, you have a lot of options. That's just something that you can look into. And a lot of people just really like the fact that there's lots of also, colleges and universities in the area. So just again, in that DFW kind of Metroplex area, there's 18 colleges and universities. There's Southern Methodist, TCU, UT Dallas, University of Dallas, all kinds of stuff. And so that kind of gives some youth and some vibrancy. And also if you're coming in with a family or you're just kind of looking in at resale value, you want to check out the ratings of the school systems in your area, but you'll probably be really pleasantly surprised, because that is one of the things that Dallas prides itself on, is its excellent school system. And a lot of that comes from that property tax that we have in our areas. And so they really use that for infrastructure and for the schools. Another thing about Dallas that is a little bit different if you're not used to it are toll roads. And so with all the growth and with all of the roads, I feel like the city does a really good job of trying to think forward and, plan for the growth that's coming. But with that comes construction, and it also costs money. And so those toll roads just kind of help pay for a lot of the, like the new roads and the new routes and things like that, and that construction to just kind of keep up with the population. And so just know that, again, if you know that you're moving or you're looking at an area where maybe there's a lot of growth, there might be some added construction that you just kind of have to deal with for a short term. And those toll roads is another cost. And so your employer might cover that. That might be something that you have to put into your budget, or you might just have to learn how the access roads and the ways to get to work or the ways to get wherever you need to go without having to take a toll road, if that's something that you choose. Okay, so another thing about living in Dallas, there's a lot to do here. So I talked to you earlier about how there's just tons of activities, tons of art. Dallas has one of the biggest art districts. That's a little tricky to say. One of the biggest art districts also in the country. And so that kind of surprised me. I didn't really expect it to have that much culture, but there's a lot of history here, and there's also a lot of art. And so if that's something that appeals to you, you'll be happy that, Dallas has that as part of its style, if you will. So there's the Museum of Art, the Dallas Museum of Art, which is in downtown, and it's free, which is really cool. And so that's, you know, a nice little day trip, or if you happen to work in that area, you just want to get away for a little bit, maybe on your lunch break or after work, if that works out. I don't want you to get in trouble at work, but you can go check out the museum. And in that same area, there's a huge outdoor park called Clyde Warren, and a lot of people really enjoy going there. There's a little bit of, you know, water play for either adults or kids. There's lawn area, there's tables set up where you can just sit down and either read or do some work, or just kind of, you know, have a lunch outside, whatever you feel like. Certain times there's food trucks that come and line up on that area, and so you can grab a coffee, you can grab obviously a lunch, you can grab ice cream, whatever. They have a bunch of different rotating food trucks there, so that's kind of nice as well. And then there's also an outdoor playground, so if you have kids or you have people visiting who have kids, again, that's all free. And so it's a nice place to go and just kind of burn off energy and get to be in the city but still be outside and kind of enjoy nature, if you will. And so there's also downtown, there's the Perot Museum, which is really great. There's the North Park shopping area. So if you're kind of into the kind of an upscale mall, that is a great place to check out. There's lots of restaurants. People in Dallas really like to eat. So there's some great apps that you can check out that show you some of the restaurants, kind of what they're all about, what their ratings are, what kind of food they have. Lots of patio dining in Dallas because, and I'm going to talk about the weather in just a minute, but we usually have outdoor weather is great here. And so we don't really ever get freezing cold for very long. And so we have lots of great places to sit outside and eat. And then there's the Star, which is a little bit north in Frisco, which is the Cowboys training center. And there's tons of things to do there as well. So the whole point is that there's lots of different areas in Dallas that kind of cater to different interests and kind of have a different vibe to them. And so some of them are a little bit more artsy, some of them are a little bit more upscale, and there's kind of everything in between. So just know that there's plenty to do here, lots to explore and lots to enjoy. So one of the things that shocked me the most about moving to Dallas was the weather. So first of all, obviously most people know that it's hot here. I don't really think that one is a big surprise. And so just know that, you know, check out the average temperatures. The weather to me was a little bit different because in Atlanta, it's very humid. And although parts of Texas have some humidity, Dallas itself is not really that humid. And so even though the temperatures can get up into the hundreds in the summertime, it's still a different kind of heat. And I know that sounds weird. You just kind of have to experience it to know what I'm talking about. But because it's not humid, it doesn't feel as heavy, if that makes sense. But it really does get hot. And so you do have to kind of keep in mind when you're, if you have a lawn, that you have to, you know, water it. And so you kind of have to play out maybe some drought-friendly landscaping, or just kind of timing that so that your water bill isn't crazy. You have to do certain things to your house to just kind of make sure that everything is on the up and up with the heat. And obviously you just want to make sure that you're staying hydrated and all that kind of good stuff in the summer. So just maybe look at the average temperatures in Dallas. I feel like it's around 90, the average. And so obviously some days are lower and some days are definitely higher. We don't really have hardcore seasons here. And I'm going to be honest, that was a little hard for me because I loved fall. The fall in Georgia is beautiful, driving through the North Georgia mountains, and you get to see the leaves change. And again, certain places in Texas might have that, but in Dallas, we don't really have a full fall. So we kind of have like summer and then a very short, winter. And I'm going to put winter in air quotes. It does get cold, but we don't have tons of snow. We don't have, really aggressive cold weather. And so you definitely want to keep a sweater or two, and what you do want to have a good jacket. But if you're moving from, the Northeast or something like that, and you're used to shoveling snow and you're used to really having to dress in layers and all that kind of good stuff, you're really not going to have to worry about that much here. And then spring is also another season that's kind of cut short in Dallas. It's kind of, maybe March and April, and then it's like, bam, summer heat is back. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, that the seasons are here, but they're just not maybe as predominant as they are in where you maybe are moving from. So main thing we have here is summer, a little bit of winter, a little bit of spring, back to summer. So, there's that. So the thing that really blew my mind, and again, there's another pun, was the wind. So when we first moved to Dallas, I had long hair and would just go outside, yay, woohoo, and then like nobody told me how windy it is. And a lot of people think Chicago is the windy city, but really if you look at the numbers, the average wind speed in Chicago is 9.9 miles per hour, and the average wind speed in Dallas, Texas is 10. So I know it's a small little smidge there, but like really we win the wind battle. So I don't know whether that's a plus or a minus, but it's just something to be aware of. The nice thing is when you're outside in that heat, a lot of times there's a breeze. But for your hair, like you're gonna definitely, I think I used to see those things where the ladies had that big like Texas hair, and now I understand it. It's because that hairspray was what was keeping everything in one place. So maybe a braid, a little top knot, and some hair product might help you, or just try not to go outside for super long time. And there's only certain times of the year that it's really heavy, but just know that the wind is kind of a thing here, and we really are windier than Chicago. The last thing about the weather that, again, a lot of us who maybe are transplants to Texas didn't really know is that it hails here. And my dad would say, "The hail, you say?" But yeah, we get a lot of hail. And so what's funny, and it's not really funny is not the right word, because we're a nice person at the West Realty team. But when you see that there's a storm coming, you see people like freak clean their garages. They'll go out there and like bikes are bitten, here, and all the stuff like on speed level, just, going through and really rapidly organizing their garage to get that car in. So sometimes people will have one car out and one car in, but when there's a storm and they think there might be hail, you'd be amazed at how fast people can clean out that garage and get a car in there or two cars in there. So the hail is legit, and it's definitely something that you have to be mindful of. So some people will buy those, silver kind of bubbles that they put over their car if they have to park it outside. A lot of people, here have like trucks and SUVs, and they don't always fit in the garage, or maybe they just have some equipment in there, and so they leave a car out. So those bubbles are really great. Or again, just keeping your garage nice and organized all the time, so that if a storm comes through and it's a hailer, your car is safe. So that's real. So one of the last things that you see a lot in Texas is pride. And again, that could be, I guess, a good thing or a bad thing to you, but people who are from Texas are proud to be Texans, and they really value their values. And so the typical person in Texas is pretty conservative. A lot of people own guns and have licenses for them, obviously. People hunt here. A lot of people, especially up north, will have hunting land and hunting leases, and like dove hunting day scared the junk out of me the first day that I lived here, because I didn't know what was going on, and all of a sudden there's like guns going off everywhere. They weren't crazy loud, but if you're just not used to it, so you'll learn those dates pretty quickly. And people just really take pride in Texas. And so that is something, they want to keep those values, and they want to keep Texas kind of Texas. And so if you're coming in as an outsider, everybody's really friendly here. They are happy to welcome you in, but they definitely don't want to lose that Texas, that Texas identity. And so you're going to see a lot of stars, you're going to see a lot of Texas flags. And again, it doesn't mean that they don't want you here. I came from somewhere else too, and I have been warmly welcomed. Our family has too. But that Texas pride is strong. And so just thought you might like to know some of the things about Dallas that kind of make it Dallas, and just kind of might help you make the decision about whether it's the city for you. So there you go. So thanks for checking out our video on some of the pros and cons of living in Dallas. And we share videos every Friday just about what it's like to live in North Dallas. And so if that is an area that you are either moving to or just looking into, then go ahead and subscribe to our channel and just keep learning with us as we share about what it's like to live, work, and play in the North Dallas area.